Today's show brought to you in part by GoToMeeting. For a free 30-day trial, use code podcast at gotomeeting.com.
It's high-end photo editing software or nothing at all. Right? Wrong. What's wrong with this picture is next.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of What's Wrong with This Picture. I'm Courtney Wallen, and of course joined by Dennis Guillaume. Dennis,
Yes.
We're talking about photo apps. This is our photo app series. In our first show, we talked about kind of the capability of the phone you have is the first place to start, kind of, right?
Right.
Right. So we covered that. If you need to go back, check out that episode. Today we're going to be featuring an app called Snapseed. Now, we featured this on our show called Travel App of the Day. We think it's a very great app. And then I sat down with Mr. Guillaume, and he still thinks it's a great app. But we want to talk more on the photography side, more specifically on the capabilities of this. So just to review, Snapseed is a $4.99 app for your phone. It's available.
That's $4.99.
$4.99, not $400.
I have to ask,
Yes.
because when I think editing software for photographs, I think $700, not dollars.
You make a very good point.
Yeah, this is pretty inexpensive.
Yes.
If it does anything.
If it does anything, right? That's what we're going to get into. So $4.99 for the mobile version. And then, Dennis, $19.99 for the desktop version. Now, that's available for Mac or PCs. And still, great price, right?
Yeah, I knew there was an expensive version of this thing somewhere. 20 bucks. Well, I really hope it does what it's, it does something for that money, because the price is right.
The price is right, and that's why it kind of caught our attention. And I know Andy McCaskey's wife loves this on the iPad. It's got really great capabilities as far as just literally flicking your finger and making some of those changes that you can on Photoshop or other really expensive photo editing softwares, not to just specifically pick on Photoshop. It supports JPEGs, it supports TIFFs, it supports RAW photos.
This is the unusual thing. It supports RAW, which for those of us who are in the habit of shooting RAW all the time and not necessarily shooting JPEGs to go along with it, this is a real advantage to be able to see and edit your RAW photos without having to go to a major editor.
Gotcha. So as we were looking at this and kind of getting into the specs of what it requires, we obviously realized you need the highest version of iOS. You need the most updated software for all of or whatever device you're using, because it's pretty sophisticated for its for what it's used on. But then I said, Dennis, it's $20. It's $5 for the mobile app. This is great, isn't it? And he said, yeah, but what happens when you want to go print it? That was the point that we wanted to talk about today. So
right. We're really concerned about the issue of printability based on resolution, the dot density. And a lot of times these, first thing to remember is that when we normally use these things to go up to social media, to put them on the internet, we are obligated to reduce the resolution to quite a low level so that these pictures will actually load and be viewable in a reasonable period of time. So normally we will reduce these things to about 72 dots per inch or pixels per inch. And at that point, they're great on the screen. Your computer monitor is unable to display anything really higher than that with any advantage.
Right.
So as long as we're looking at it on a computer screen or from the internet, this is perfectly adequate. But when I want to take that picture and print it, now I may have a problem, because I'm not able to actually blow it up to some size that is reasonable, 8 by 10 or whatever, or 5 by 7. I also want to have enough pixels there so that the picture looks very crisp and clean when I do print it. So that's a question that we have to look at when we look at this, these kinds of software.
Now, if you're like me, I haven't printed photos in forever. I just keep them, and it kind of seems silly because, I mean, not so silly. I upload them to my Facebook, I email them to family members, and I do share them. I just don't print them. And now you've got the digital picture frames and things that you printing is almost, it's not extinct by any means, but it's not being used as much as it probably used to be.
Yeah, we all got into the habit of showing these things and emailing these things, and if you've just emailed a high-resolution picture to somebody, it takes a week and a half just to load, and you feel sorry for the person on the other end who has to wait that long for it to come down again.
Yep.
So we are using low res with great effect, and it's becoming more and more the standard. And as you say, who's printing these things anymore? But at some point, you may want to, for that scrapbook or whatever it is that you're doing for the family. And then for those of us that are charged with actually taking pictures for the print media, for magazines, for brochures, for product things and stuff like that, then we have a demand for a much higher level of resolution. But we're talking about the average user here, and this kind of approach is not only affordable, but there's a lot of flexibility in what you can do in this software. You can make color adjustments. You can change sizes. You can do a number of things with the filters that are made available, and it'd be a lot of fun, and you don't have a learning curve that's steeper than Mount Everest.
There you go, which is sometimes the worst part about these things. So I think this is extremely user-friendly, like we said, and talking about just when you're traveling, you're taking that trip, you want to share those things instantly, you can work offline. You can obviously edit these on your iPad or your iPhone or your iPod Touch. It is coming for Android soon. I should make mention of that. And actually, before this is actually released, I'm sure the Android version, that tends to happen with us. But, you know, we talked about Instagram on our last series, which is really, it's a free app, great app. But this is about 3 steps ahead as far as editing capabilities. So you have that offline work capability, and then if you want to share it, then you can. So we give this 2 thumbs up as far as affordability and user friendliness. And if you are taking a trip that you want to document and just make some really neat adjustments to share via social media or whatever it may be, that's great. But just beware if you'd like to make a scrapbook.
Well, the other thing is, if you're shooting in RAW, for example, you're not going to ruin your file by using this software to adjust it. You're simply going to save it as another format like JPEG. And you're going to preserve your original file. For heaven's sake, don't get in the habit of changing your original file. And so just the fact that you will have the original RAW file or the original JPEG that you shot available to you when you get home, you really aren't going to ruin anything. You still can make those complicated adjustments later.
Very good point to make. You've always got the original photo that you can play with. So, and of course, if you take the picture right from your device, then that's kind of limited as far as to printing. So if you are importing images, like we said, the JPEGs or the TIFFs or the RAWs, then you're really golden. Then you can really use this to the best of its capability. So Snapseed is the app. We've got all of the links to download the app for your desktop or for your mobile device on today's show notes. So go and check it out. Lots of cool stuff. Just the apps are kind of crazy what you can do with them. There's so many we find, and it's just really interesting, and we'll continue to find more, and I'm sure they always will change before the episode actually hits our Roku or Boxee. But anyways, that's on another topic. And you're saying be sure to save your photos. Let's just refer back to last week's the storing and archiving. If you have any doubt in your mind that you didn't save enough, just go watch that episode. Dennis will tell you how to do that correctly. All right, well, next week's show continues on our DSLR series. So we've been talking a lot about specifically the controls, then we talked about the LCD, and we're going to continue to go more in depth with the different features. And for new DSLR owners, I think that series is very, very useful.
I hope so.
What do you do with it once you get it? So be sure to check out What's Wrong with This Picture. They are on RVNN's Pinterest board. You can go to pinterest.com/RVNN and check out all of Dennis's pins there. Lots of fun stuff going on. Of course, you can circle us on Google+, give us a thumbs up on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter. We're at RVNewsNet, but you can always hashtag 3WTP, the number 3WTP, for What's Wrong with This Picture, to join the conversation on this show and others. Dennis, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
And we'll see you all next week.
Hey, Gabe, want to go for a walk? Gabe? Gabe? Gabe?
Hey, buddy, you lost? Hold on.
If your pet is the adventuresome type, be sure he's connected to PetHub. A quick scan using any smartphone shares your pet's vital information so that even his wildest escapades have a happy ending. PetHub, reuniting pets with their families.
Come on, Gabe, let's go home.